Welcome to my channel, The World Coin. Hello and welcome, coin lovers. This channel is dedicated to the fascinating world of coins from every corner of the globe. From ancient currency to modern mints, rare finds to everyday coins, we explore their history, design, and hidden stories. So subscribe now and join our growing community of coin collectors, history enthusiasts, and curious minds. I have 4 videos of half dollar. So let's get started. The United States half-dollar coin of 1973 belongs to the famous Kennedy half-dollar series, one of the most well-known and emotionally significant coin series in American history. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963. The American public strongly supported honoring Kennedy on a circulating coin, and within just a few months, the U.S. Mint replaced the Franklin half-dollar with the Kennedy design. By the time the 1973 half-dollar was issued, the coin had already gone through major changes in composition, public usage, and collector perception, making the 1973 issue an important part of modern U.S. numismatic history. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar was minted during a period when half-dollars were no longer commonly used in everyday transactions. In earlier decades, half-dollars were popular for commerce, but by the late 1960s and early 1970s, rising metal prices, hoarding of silver coins, and changes in spending habits caused the denomination to slowly disappear from circulation. Although millions of half-dollars were still produced in 1973, most Americans rarely saw them in their daily lives. Many coins were saved by collectors or stored by banks instead of being widely circulated. In 1973, the United States Mint produced half-dollars at 2 mint locations. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint struck coins with the D mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 42 million half-dollars, while the Denver Mint produced around 31 million coins. These numbers show that the 1973 half-dollar was not rare in terms of mintage, but scarcity can still occur in high-grade condition, especially for coins that were not heavily handled. One very important fact about the 1973 half-dollar is that no regular proof half-dollars were struck for general circulation that year. Proof coins were only available as part of special mint sets, which makes certain high-quality examples more desirable to collectors today. This detail adds historical interest and helps explain why pristine 1973 half-dollars are harder to find than worn ones. The composition of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar reflects a major change in U.S. coinage history. Unlike the original 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, which was made of 90% silver, the 1973 version contains no silver at all. Instead, it is a clad coin, consisting of outer layers made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This change was introduced in 1971 when silver was completely removed from circulating half-dollars. As a result, the 1973 half-dollar has no precious metal value, and its worth depends entirely on its condition and collector demand. In terms of physical specifications, the 1973 half-dollar weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and a reeded edge. These measurements have remained consistent throughout most of the Kennedy half-dollar series. The coin feels solid and substantial in the hand, which is one reason many collectors and coin enthusiasts still appreciate the half-dollar denomination. The obverse front of the 1973 half-dollar features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, who served as the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The word liberty curves along the top of the coin, symbolizing freedom and democratic ideals. Below Kennedy's chin appears the national motto "In God We Trust," and the year 1973 is displayed prominently at the bottom. Kennedy's portrait is dignified and modern, representing optimism, leadership, and a forward-looking America. The reverse back of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparo and features a powerful image of the presidential seal. At the center is a strong eagle with outstretched wings, holding an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other, symbolizing peace and military readiness. A shield rests on the eagle's chest, representing protection and unity. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the United States. The inscriptions "United States of America" and half-dollar complete the design, emphasizing national identity and denomination value. Although the 1973 half dollar was officially released for circulation, it was rarely used in everyday transactions. By this time, vending machines, parking meters, and cash registers were not designed to accept half dollars, making them inconvenient for daily spending. As a result, many 1973 half dollars were stored in bank vaults, kept in mint sets, or saved by individuals who found the coin interesting or different from common pocket change. From a collector's point of view, the 1973 Kennedy half dollar is considered a modern collectible rather than a rare coin. In circulated condition, its value is generally close to face value, 50 cents. However, coins in uncirculated condition can be worth more, especially those with strong luster, sharp details, and no contact marks. Coins graded by professional services in MS-65 or higher may sell for higher prices, depending on demand. Some collectors also search for errors and varieties among 1973 half dollars. These may include off-center strikes, double die errors, clipped planchettes, or weak strikes. While such errors are not common, they can significantly increase a coin's value if authenticated. Error coins are especially popular among modern coin collectors who enjoy finding unusual pieces. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar also represents a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning from coins used in daily life to coins primarily produced for collectors. This shift explains why half dollars after the early 1970s became increasingly difficult to find in circulation, despite being officially issued. In conclusion, the United States half dollar coin of 1973 is an important piece of modern American numismatic history. While it does not contain silver and is not rare in circulated condition, it holds strong historical, cultural, and collector value. It represents the legacy of President John F. Kennedy, the evolution of U.S. coinage, and the changing habits of American currency use. For collectors, educators, and YouTube content creators, the 1973 Kennedy half dollar offers a rich story that combines history, design, economics, and national symbolism in a single coin. Next video. The United States half dollar coin of 1978 is part of the famous Kennedy half dollar series, a modern American coin series that began in 1964 in honor of President John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. The Kennedy half dollar was created shortly after President Kennedy's assassination in November 1963, and it quickly became one of the most meaningful and widely recognized coins in U.S. history. By the year 1978, the Kennedy half dollar had already been in circulation for more than a decade and had gone through several important changes in metal composition, public use, and collector interest, making the 1978 issue an important representative of late 20th century American coinage. The 1978 half dollar was minted during a time when half dollars were no longer commonly used in everyday transactions. Although half dollars were still legal tender and officially produced for circulation, most Americans rarely used them in shops, markets, or daily purchases. This decline in usage began in the late 1960s when people started hoarding silver coins and businesses shifted toward smaller denominations such as quarters and dollar bills. By 1978, the half dollar had become more of a collector's coin than a practical spending coin, even though millions were still produced. In 1978, the United States Mint struck Kennedy half dollars at two mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced coins with the D mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 25 million half dollars, while the Denver Mint produced around 26 million coins. These mintage figures indicate that the 1978 half dollar is not rare in terms of quantity, but condition plays a very important role in determining its value today. The composition of the 1978 Kennedy half dollar is entirely clad, meaning it contains no silver. This is an important point for collectors and the general public. The coin is made of outer layers consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to an inner core of pure copper. This copper-nickel clad structure was introduced for half dollars in 1971 when silver was completely removed from circulating U.S. coinage due to rising metal prices and economic changes. As a result, the 1978 half dollar has no intrinsic precious metal value, and its worth depends solely on condition, rarity in high grade, and collector demand. The physical specifications of the 1978 half dollar are consistent with other Kennedy half dollars of the modern era. The coin weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Its size and weight give it a solid, substantial feel in the hand, which is one reason many people still find the half dollar attractive despite its limited circulation. The obverse front of the 1978 Kennedy half dollar features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, the former chief engraver of the United States Mint. The design is clean, dignified, and instantly recognizable. The word liberty appears prominently along the upper edge of the coin, symbolizing freedom and democratic ideals. Beneath Kennedy's chin is the national motto "In God We Trust," and the date 1978 is displayed clearly at the bottom. Kennedy's portrait reflects strength, confidence, and hope, values that continue to resonate with Americans decades after his presidency. The reversed back of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparo, who later became chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. It features a detailed image of the presidential seal, which includes a majestic eagle with wings spread wide. The eagle holds an olive branch in one talon, symbolizing peace, and a bundle of arrows in the other, symbolizing military strength and readiness. A shield on the eagle's chest represents national defense and unity. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the United States. The inscriptions "United States of America" and half dollar complete the design and clearly identify the coin's origin and denomination. Although the 1978 half dollar was officially struck for circulation, it was rarely used in daily commerce. By this time, most vending machines, parking meters, and automated systems did not accept half dollars, making them inconvenient for everyday use. Many banks ordered half dollars only in small quantities, and some stopped distributing them altogether. As a result, large numbers of 1978 half dollars were stored in bank vaults, saved by collectors, or kept in mint sets. From a collector's perspective, the 1978 Kennedy half dollar is considered a modern, common-date coin, but it still holds interest, especially in uncirculated condition. In worn or circulated condition, the coin is typically worth face value, 50 cents. However, uncirculated examples with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details can be worth more. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services may command a premium, particularly if they show exceptional eye appeal. Collectors also search for mint errors and varieties among 1978 half dollars. Possible errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, double dies, weak strikes, or broad strikes. While such errors are not common, they can significantly increase the value of a coin if they are genuine and properly authenticated. Error coins add excitement to modern coin collecting and are especially popular among younger collectors. The 1978 Kennedy half dollar also reflects a broader shift in U.S. coinage history. By the late 1970s, many coins were being produced primarily for collectors rather than everyday use. This period marks the transition of the half dollar from a circulating workhorse to a denomination mainly associated with collecting, commemorative use, and special mint products. In historical terms, the year 1978 was a time of economic change in the United States, marked by inflation, energy concerns, and evolving monetary habits. Coins like the 1978 half dollar quietly reflect these changes, as Americans increasingly relied on paper currency and electronic transactions rather than large coins. In conclusion, the United States half dollar coin of 1978 is an important example of modern American coinage. While it does not contain silver and is not rare in circulated condition, it carries strong historical and cultural significance. It honors President John F. Kennedy, represents the evolution of U.S. money, and serves as a valuable educational tool for collectors and history enthusiasts. For YouTube creators, educators, and coin lovers, the 1978 Kennedy half dollar offers a rich and meaningful story that can easily be expanded into a 100-minute detailed discussion covering history, design, economics, and collecting. Next video. The United States half dollar coin of 1985 belongs to the long-running and historically important Kennedy half dollar series, a modern American coin series that began in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. The Kennedy half-dollar was introduced only months after President Kennedy's assassination in November 1963, making it one of the fastest approved coin designs in U.S. history. By 1985, the Kennedy half-dollar had been in production for more than 20 years and had become a symbol not only of Kennedy's legacy but also of the changing role of coins in everyday American life. The 1985 half-dollar was minted during a time when half-dollars were no longer widely used in daily commerce. Although the coin remained legal tender and continued to be produced for circulation, most Americans rarely used half-dollars in shops, markets, or vending machines. This decline in usage began in the late 1960s when silver coins were hoarded and continued into the 1980s as people preferred smaller coins and paper currency. By 1985, the half-dollar was mostly seen in collector sets, bank rolls, and special issues, rather than in regular pocket change. In 1985, the United States Mint produced Kennedy half-dollars at two different mint facilities. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint struck coins with the D Mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 28 million half-dollars, and the Denver Mint produced around 17 million coins. These mintage figures show that the 1985 half-dollar is not rare by quantity, but high-quality examples are less common because many coins were stored rather than carefully preserved. The composition of the 1985 Kennedy half-dollar is completely clad, meaning it contains no silver. The coin is made of outer layers consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to an inner core of pure copper. This copper-nickel clad composition had been standard for circulating half-dollars since 1971, when silver was fully removed from the denomination. Because of this, the 1985 half-dollar has no precious metal value, and its market value depends entirely on its condition, rarity in high grade, and collector interest. The physical characteristics of the 1985 half-dollar are the same as other modern Kennedy half-dollars. The coin weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Its large size and solid weight give it a distinctive feel compared to smaller coins like the quarter or dime, which is one reason many people still enjoy holding and collecting half-dollars even though they are rarely used. The obverse front of the 1985 Kennedy half-dollar features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, who was the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time the design was created. The word liberty appears along the top of the coin, representing freedom and democratic values. Beneath Kennedy's chin is the national motto "In God We Trust," and the year 1985 is displayed at the bottom. The portrait is clean and dignified, capturing Kennedy's youthful appearance and the optimism associated with his presidency. The reverse back of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparo, who later became chief engraver of the United States Mint. The reverse design features the presidential seal, centered around a strong and majestic eagle with outstretched wings. The eagle holds an olive branch in one talon, symbolizing peace, and a bundle of arrows in the other talon, symbolizing strength and defense. A shield on the eagle's chest represents national unity and protection. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the 50 states of the United States. The inscriptions United States of America and half-dollar complete the design. Although the 1985 half-dollar was struck for circulation, it was seldom used in everyday transactions. Most vending machines, parking meters, and automated systems did not accept half-dollars, making them inconvenient for daily use. Banks often ordered half-dollars only when requested, and many people who received them simply saved them rather than spending them. As a result, a large number of 1985 half-dollars remain in relatively good condition today. From a collector's point of view, the 1985 Kennedy half-dollar is considered a common modern coin, but it still holds interest, especially in uncirculated and proof condition. In circulated condition, the coin is usually worth face value, 50 cents. Uncirculated examples with bright luster and minimal contact marks may be worth slightly more. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services can command a premium, especially if they have strong eye appeal. The San Francisco Mint also produced proof half-dollars in 1985, identifiable by the S Mint mark. These proof coins were struck with specially prepared dies and planchettes and were sold directly to collectors as part of annual proof sets. Proof 1985 half dollars are valued more than circulation strikes due to their sharp details, mirror-like fields, and limited availability. Collectors also look for mint errors and varieties among 1985 half dollars. Possible errors include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, weak strikes, or broad strikes. While such errors are not common, they can significantly increase the value of a coin if properly authenticated. The 1985 Kennedy half dollar represents a period when U.S. coinage was increasingly produced for collectors rather than everyday circulation. This era reflects broader economic and cultural changes, including the rise of electronic payments and reduced reliance on large coins. Despite this, the half dollar remains an important symbol of American history and numismatic tradition. In conclusion, the United States half dollar coin of 1985 is a meaningful part of modern American coin history. While it contains no silver and is not rare in circulated condition, it carries strong historical, cultural, and educational value. It honors President John F. Kennedy, reflects the evolution of U.S. money, and serves as an excellent subject for collectors, educators, and YouTube content creators. With its rich background, classic design, and connection to a transformative era in American history, the 1985 Kennedy half dollar is a coin that can easily support a 100-minute detailed discussion when explored deeply. Next video. The United States half dollar coin of 1972 is part of the well-known Kennedy half dollar series, a modern American coin series introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. The Kennedy half dollar was created after the tragic assassination of President Kennedy in November 1963, and it quickly became one of the most emotionally significant coins in U.S. history. By the year 1972, the Kennedy half dollar had already been circulating for 8 years and had undergone important changes in metal composition, public usage, and collector perception, making the 1972 issue an important representative of early modern U.S. coinage. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was minted during a period of transition in American coin history. In the early years of the Kennedy half dollar, silver content played a major role in public interest. However, by 1971, silver was completely removed from circulating half dollars. As a result, the 1972 half dollar contains no silver, marking it as part of the fully clad era of U.S. coinage. This change significantly affected how the public viewed and used half dollars, and it contributed to their gradual disappearance from everyday circulation. In 1972, the United States Mint produced Kennedy half dollars at 2 mint locations. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint struck coins bearing the D mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 141 million half dollars, and the Denver Mint produced about 67 million coins. These extremely high mintage figures show that the 1972 half dollar is one of the most common Kennedy half dollars ever produced. Despite these high numbers, many coins were saved in rolls or bags, and relatively fewer were heavily circulated. The composition of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar is copper-nickel clad. The outer layers consist of 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the inner core is made of pure copper. Because it contains no precious metal, the 1972 half dollar has no intrinsic silver value, and its worth is based entirely on condition, collector demand, and special varieties. The physical specifications of the 1972 half dollar remain consistent with other modern Kennedy half dollars. The coin weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Its large size gives it a solid feel, making it one of the heaviest circulating U.S. coins of its time. The obverse front of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar features a left-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, the chief engraver of the United States Mint when the design was created. The word Liberty curves along the top edge of the coin, symbolizing freedom and democratic values. Beneath Kennedy's chin appears the national motto "In God We Trust," and the date 1972 is clearly shown at the bottom. Kennedy's image is strong yet calm, reflecting the optimism and hope associated with his presidency. The reversed back of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparo and features the presidential seal of the United States. At the center is a powerful eagle with outstretched wings. The eagle holds an olive branch, symbolizing peace, and arrows, symbolizing military readiness. A shield on the eagle's chest represents protection and national unity. Surrounding the eagle are 50 stars, representing the states of the United States. The inscriptions United States of America and $50 identify the country and denomination. Although the 1972 $50 was produced in very large numbers, it was not widely used in everyday transactions. By the early 1970s, $50 had become uncommon in circulation due to changes in vending machines, cash registers, and consumer habits. Many people preferred quarters and dollar bills, while banks often stored $50 rather than distributing them. As a result, many 1972 $50 remained in relatively good condition. From a collector's point of view, the 1972 Kennedy $50 is considered a common date coin, but it is still widely collected due to its historical significance and availability. In circulated condition, the coin is generally worth face value, 50 cents. However, uncirculated coins with strong luster and minimal contact marks can be worth more. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services may sell at a premium. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1972 Kennedy $50 is the existence of important varieties, especially the famous 1972D, no FG, variety. On some Denver minted coins, the designer's initials, FG, for Frank Gasparo, are missing or extremely weak on the reverse. This variety is highly sought after by collectors and can be worth significantly more than a normal 1972D $50, especially in uncirculated condition. Collectors also search for mint errors among 1972 $50, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchettes, and weak strikes. While these errors are not common, they can add substantial value and excitement to modern coin collecting. The 1972 Kennedy $50 also reflects a broader shift in American coinage. It represents a time when coins were increasingly produced in large quantities, yet used less frequently in daily life. This contrast makes the 1972 $50 an interesting study in economics, technology, and public behavior. In conclusion, the United States $50 coin of 1972 is a significant piece of modern American numismatic history. While it contains no silver and is very common in circulated condition, it holds strong historical, educational, and collector value. Its high mintage, classic Kennedy design, and famous varieties make it an excellent subject for long-form content. For collectors, historians, and YouTube creators, the 1972 Kennedy $50 offers a rich story that can easily support a 100-minute in-depth discussion covering history, design, minting, varieties, and cultural impact.